Willkommen zurück zu The Stanley Parable. Und ja, mit mir, Peterbus.
Stanley stood for a long time in one spot. It's part of a game. He likes to see how long he can go without dying. So far, he's doing excellent. And if he just stays right where he is, I'm sure he'll keep up that good
Ich habe das Gefühl, das Spiel macht sich lustig über mich und ich habe das Gefühl, es gibt nur einen einzigen Weg, dieses Spiel zu besiegen und das ist, indem man stirbt. Mehrfach. Schmerzhaft. Schauen, was passiert, wenn wir uns weigern, irgendetwas zu tun. Wer weiß. Aber wer weiß das schon? Die Uhr tickt weiter. Huch.
But Stanley simply couldn't handle the pressure. What if he had to make a decision? What if a crucial outcome fell under his responsibility? He had never been trained for that. No. This couldn't go anywhere except badly. The thing to do now, Stanley thought to himself, is to wait. Nothing will hurt me. Nothing will break me. In here I can be happy forever. I will be happy. Stanley waited. Hours passed, then days. Had years gone by, he no longer had the ability to tell. But the one thing he knew for sure, beyond any doubt, was that if he waited long enough, the answers would come. Eventually, someday, they would arrive. Soon, very soon now, this will end. He will be spoken to. He will be told what to do. Now it's just a little bit closer. Now it's even closer. Here it comes.
Okay, das ist auch nicht der Weg.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. When Stanley came to a
Ich geh mal wieder in die Garage, da war ich auch schon länger nicht
he
mehr.
entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Oh no, no, not again. I won't be part of this. I'm not going to encourage you. I'm not going to say anything at all. I'm just going to be patient and wait for you to finish what... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office. But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished. His boss would think he was crazy. And then something
Ich hätte irgendwie gehofft, wir kriegen ihn in einen anderen Ausgang, wenn ich jetzt hier runtergehe.
Maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all. None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So, he imagined himself flying.
Ich möchte aber
He
höher.
began to gently float above
Ja.
the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me, thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought. And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. He closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself...
Okay, Räume wiederholen scheint nicht unbedingt so besonders
cool
sinnvoll
weight
zu
of the
sein.
blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through
Es tut
with
mir
this
leid.
dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to
Ich
my
wollte euch nicht
job.
nochmal damit
Let me
konfrontieren.
continue pushing
Ich
the
hatte irgendwie
buttons.
gehofft.
Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal.
Will it?
Everything will be fine.
No, ich bin nicht
I
okay.
am okay.
Absolut nichts ist in Ordnung.
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black. This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Schon wieder mein Tod oder erneut.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming.
Da ist die Haut von
and then
Stanley,
collapsed dead on the sidewalk.
die in den
Although she
Credits
soon
erwähnt
turned
worden
to go
ist.
call for an ambulance, for just a few
Oh.
brief moments, she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Wing. Und zurück ins Office. The end is never. Wahrscheinlich sollte ich einfach mal diese Texte hier hören. Das gibt kein Ende. So, da gehe ich nicht mehr hin. Da gibt es nichts Neues.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room.
Ich
Perhaps
frage
he
mich,
had
ob hier
simply
irgendwann
missed
eine
a
Tür
memo.
aufgeht, die vorher nicht aufging. Ob ich das einfach nur konstant verpasse.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Nicht so überall.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it. Wow. Yes, this room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous... But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ja, dann machen wir das mal.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back
Da waren
on
wir ja
track.
auch schon. Die Frage ist, ob hier jetzt irgendwo was Neues kommt.
Yet there was not a single
das
person
hatten wir
here
schon.
either. Feeling a wave of
Ich will
disbelief,
da nicht nochmal runter.
Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's
Schauen wir
office.
doch nochmal, ob ich hier vielleicht gerade wieder sterbe. Ah, was Neues.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Kills a
Okay,
breeze.
das war... Vielleicht hat sich hier hinten jetzt auch was getan. Nein? Hat sich nichts getan. Darauf hatte ich nämlich gehofft eigentlich. Was so ein Effekt. Das ist ja irgendwas ganz und gar Neues. Das hier ist jetzt auch nicht neu.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing. This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ich glaube, 4 tut nichts. Was ist das da? Kommen wir her, glaube ich. Was? 5? Wo ist 1, 2 und 3? Ah. Das letzte Mal hatte ich diese Sicherung hier angeditscht. Die ist da. Könnte auch Klopapier sein. Das Druckerpapier.
His obligation to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for. Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going. What all this means, I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're gonna die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock, why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones. Or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No ending here, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life? Or will you let it go peacefully?
Also eine Atomexplosion ist natürlich überaus friedlich.
Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say...
Und ich bin schon wieder gestorben. Wow. Oh mein Gott. Oh mein Gott. Oh mein Gott. Ob ich noch mal ein alternatives Ende finde, vielleicht auch mal überlebe, das finden wir beim nächsten Mal heraus. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen. Wenn es gefallen hat, Like da lassen. Wer es noch nicht getan hat, abonnieren und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.